The 1996 NASCAR Winston Cup season, a long road of frustration for some.
And he's just lucky I didn't knock him on his butt.
A year of disappointment for others.
I'm gonna show him something about momentum.
And a championship not put on ice until the last race of the season.
I'm in the wall.
This is the Hendrick Motorsports Museum, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the 1995 and 1996 NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion teams, and home of the 1996 NASCAR Winston Cup Series Year in Review video. Hi, I'm Alan Bestwick. Thanks for joining us. For the next 90 minutes, we're going to take you back through the complete NASCAR Winston Cup Series season, start to finish, the year that ended with Terry Labonte being crowned the champion for the second time. Joining me now, ESPN racing analyst Benny Parsons. Hello, Benny. How are you?
Al. Fine.
What a great year 1996 was.
Oh, and it was terrific, folks. It started with a bang and ended a great finish. 3 guys a chance to win that championship, and that's what you're always looking for.
Take us back to the beginning of the season to get the story started, and the year began with a couple of twists.
Some real twists. Dale Jarrett put together a bunch of guys with experience, but they had never worked together before, and guess what? The first NASCAR race of the year, they win the Busch Clash. And then what a story when Ernie Irvan wins one 125-mile qualifying race, leading up to the Daytona 500.
And that sets the stage for our beginning point, the 38th running of the greatest stock car race in the world, the Daytona 500.
Daytona International Speedway. Big crowds, big teams, big dreams. Earnhardt, Irvin, Gordon, Jarrett, Marlin, and 38 others all paint an imaginary picture, seeing themselves in victory lane winning NASCAR Winston Cup's biggest race, the Daytona 500.
Everybody works for the Daytona 500 from the time Atlanta's over until the Daytona 500 gets here. So to win this race, you know that you've beaten everybody at their very best, and that's what makes it really special.
The 96 version of this classic gets underway with Dale Earnhardt and Ernie Irvan on the front row. It doesn't take long for the action to get going. Lap 11, Jeff Gordon gets into the outside wall, a wreck that eventually collects 6 cars, including Steve Grissom. Chevy needs a little help getting back to the garage area as the defending NASCAR Winston Cup champ leaves Daytona with a disappointing 43rd place finish.
Very disappointing, I mean, because we all come here wanting to win, and when you don't win, no matter what happens, it's disappointing. But, you know, finishing 43rd is not where we want to be.
Then outside pole sitter Ernie Irvan cracks the retaining wall on the front stretch at lap 28. Battling aerodynamic problems all afternoon from then on, he finishes 55 laps down in 35th. Sterling Marlin, in search of the Daytona three-peat, only finds trouble with his usually reliable Ron Pittman engine as they break a rocker arm while leading on lap 81. The Kodak team finishes 40th. Meantime, Dale Earnhardt leads late in the race, but he can't hold back the Ford Brigade. Wally Dallenbach gives Dale Jarrett a little bump that sends him in front of Earnhardt with 23 laps to go. Down the stretch, Earnhardt and fellow Chevy driver Ken Schrader can't catch Jarrett, who in his first race with a brand new team out of the Robert Yates Racing stables, wins the Daytona 500, Jarrett's second career victory in the Great American Race.
Well, I think I appreciate this even more now. Since I won it, I know what to expect here, but this is great because this is a new race team. Todd Parrott, his first time as a crew chief in a Winston Cup race. Robert and Doug to have enough confidence in Dale Jarrett to offer him a job, even though things didn't go as well last year as we planned for them to, really means a lot. This is really special, and I think I'm going to enjoy this one even more.
For all the excitement of winning the Daytona 500 for Dale Jarrett and his bunch, 7 days later, it's back to work at Rockingham, where pole sitter Terry Labonte dominates the early part of the race, leading 198 of the first 230 laps.
But on lap 235, the engine starts to overheat. Terry has to park his Chevy with a cracked cylinder head. For the second week in a row, defending champ Jeff Gordon has trouble as his motor expires early as well. He finishes 40th. Down to the nitty-gritty. Bobby Hamilton strong in the late part of the race. In the lead, but not for long. Dale Earnhardt gives him a little nudge, and Hamilton goes into the wall and out of contention for the win. Earnhardt goes on to win under the waving caution and checkered flag because of a late race accident. Just flipped the Daytona top 2 around, and the other Dale Jarrett, finishes second. But after the race, Bobby Hamilton was still steaming mad at Earnhardt.
It wasn't close. I mean, he took there off of me, then he hit me. It wasn't close at all. Like I was telling him, you know, I hadn't won 7 championships. I hadn't won my first race. I hadn't won 84 or 85 race, whatever he's won. But I'm smart enough to know you don't do that at the start of the season because there's too many races left.
We bumped a little, and I think we just came together with the bumps in the racetrack, sort of like the bumps up and down. And it was just close racing. Fortunately, he corrected and was okay there, and then he got another wreck later on. So that's tough, but it's really close racing all day, and we dodged a couple of wrecks ourselves, and the car worked real consistent all day, though. It was just right there all day, and at the end when I needed to bear down, I could.
Terry Labonte started from the pole at Rockingham, but for the second straight week leads the most laps and doesn't get a good finish. Now we head to Richmond, and once again, it's Terry Labonte on the pole. And while Terry Labonte was strong for a second consecutive week, so was Bobby Hamilton. The 43 machine stayed on the point for most of the afternoon at Richmond, leading 129 laps, the most of any driver in the race. It's a relatively incident-free event, although the Intimidator Dale Earnhardt finds the outside wall in turn 1 at lap 372. Ooh, look out! He was one of 38 cars running at the finish, though, despite this little wrap into the outside fence. In the end, pit stops would tell the tale as Jeff Gordon beats Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin off the pit lane with a great stop. Gives the reigning champ a lead he would never give up, and finally, a victory in 1996. In fact, his first trip to the winner's circle since Dover last September.
We needed this so bad. It's been a tough couple races. We knew we had a lot of races left to go, and man, I tell you, I've been, seeing the guys more. I wanted to make sure their morale wasn't getting down. I mean, I'm real interested in, making sure this team doesn't come into this year and fall on its face, and these guys did a heck of a job.
But Alan, this one wasn't over. After the checkered flag flew, John Andretti lets Bobby Hamilton have a piece of his mind. John not happy with a late race bump. Lets Hamilton know about it. But in the process, makes more than a few people angry.
I told them I didn't care about how many times the drivers got mad at the drivers. They just didn't need to beat on my race car. And because it starts costing me money, if somebody gets a black eye, that's their fault. But when they start tearing up a race car, and especially when the race is over, it's a little childish.
On to Atlanta, where pole sitter Johnny Benson has to start at the back of the pack after wrecking his primary car in the final practice session on Saturday for the Purolator 500. But after starting 18th, the man in black, Dale Earnhardt, charges to the front early on and proves to be the car to beat. Can't tell that to Dick Trickle, though. He doesn't want to go a lap down. He kind of makes sure Earnhardt knows that. Everybody gets away clean, though, and once again, a relatively incident-free race. Only 3 caution periods on the day. Once again, the race comes down to a final round of green flag pit stops. With Terry Labonte running first and Earnhardt second, the Intimidator comes in with 37 laps to go. It's a terrific 18.8-second stop from David Smith and the crew. Labonte would stop 1 lap later. His team's efforts just a tick longer, and that split second proves to be the difference. As Earnhardt picks up his second win in the last 3 races, making it 2 straight at Atlanta to become the track's all-time winningest driver. He also picks up his 70th career victory.
That last stop was a great stop. The pit crew did a great job. Goodwrench, you got to hand it to them. They just keep getting on top. Everybody says, well, last year, that's that number 1 pit position. We were in pit 13 today. We stomped them, buddy. We got them hard in the pits.
After that last pit stop, he come out ahead of me a little bit, and his car was really hooked up. Mine probably, I don't think, was quite as good as it had been on the previous set of tires. So but that's the way it goes.
Okay, Alan, here's how the NASCAR Winston Cup points stack up 4 races into the 1996 season. Dale Jarrett only 1 win compared to Earnhardt's 2, but he's been solid every week. He holds a 50-point lead over second place and 72 points up on Ricky Rudd, who's having a terrific start to the 1996 season.
And you also see Bill Elliott and another surprise, Ricky Craven, kind of sneaking in there in the top 5. What a great start to 1996 for him.
Okay, folks, next up, Darlington, the track too tough to tame. Unlike the past few weeks, Flagman Doyle Ford gets worn out. 11 cautions altogether on the day. 10 yellows for wrecks alone, including this one that collects pole sitter Ward Burton and Ernie Irvin on lap 137. In the end, it comes down to a question of gas and who has it. Dale Jarrett and Jeff Gordon have the best shot at a win as the two swap the lead back and forth, doing some great battles for a top spot with just a handful of laps remaining. As far as fuel, Gordon can without a doubt make it all the way. Jarrett cannot. After a stop at his local Texaco station, that's actually teammate Ernie Irvin's pit, Jarrett is penalized a lap for stopping in the wrong stall, winds up 15th. Gordon, believe it or not, winds up with another win. Like Earnhardt, he makes it 2 wins in the last 3 races, and in just 3 weeks, leads from 43rd to 9th in the points, thanks to his second straight win at Darlington.
I never saved fuel one time. I mean, I ran it as hard as I could. I had to save my tires more than anything. So I don't know. I bet it's pretty close. If they say it's close, that means it's close. But you know, that's what wins races. A great team like this, they can gamble. They can make close calls like that. Great pit stops all day long. I mean, consistency was there, and this is a great day. We're real proud of everybody involved, and it's great to be in victory lane in Darlington, man. This is wonderful.
We knew we were going to be close on the fuel, but you know, we came here to win the race. It's way too early to be thinking about, well, if we stop, we can gain a few points here or there. You know, we came here to win, and we would have been kicking ourselves from now to the end of the year, not knowing if we could have made it or not. So Todd made a great call there, and this crew just continues to do a great job. We've run 5 races this year, and in 4 of them, at the end of the race, we've had a chance to win. You can't ask for much more than that other than winning them.
And you certainly can't argue with that theory, now can you? Especially coming from a guy who still leads the Winston Cup points. Anyway, next up, the high banks of Bristol, and unfortunately, lots of rain. In fact, the start of the Food City 500 delayed 42 minutes because of the wet stuff. Eventually, Mark Martin leads the field to the green flag for the 3rd straight time at Bristol. After having an awful final practice Saturday and making lots of changes Sunday morning, Jeff Gordon takes the lead on lap 107. Those changes by Ray Evernham and the Rainbow Warriors proved to be the right ones, as Gordon dominates the race from there out. Scary incident for Darrell Waltrip on lap 333 just after a restart. DW gets tagged from behind, heads straight for the wall. Then the rubber fuel cell ruptures in his car, which is very rare, but NASCAR quick on the scene, and any potential fire is averted. The race, however, is a different story, as during the cleanup of Darrell Waltrip's accident, the rain continues to come down even harder, and with the event being well past the halfway mark, NASCAR decides to call the race off after a 40-minute wait. The leader at the time of the red flag, you got it, Jeff Gordon, who claims his 3rd victory in the last 4 races, this one in a kind of a weird way.
This is pretty amazing. You know, it's just not the same, I know, but it's pretty amazing to the way things have been going for us, and you know, I can't believe we just won at Bristol this way. This is amazing.
And here's how the points look 6 races into the season. The Thales still have their exclusive club in the top 2, but how about the Rickies? A great season so far for both Ricky Rudd and Ricky Craven.
We haven't talked much about either one, but they're both having a great run thus far in 1996. And there you see Jeff Gordon. Just 4 weeks ago, 43rd in points, now 6th, just a handful of points behind teammate Terry Labonte. Which, by the way, brings us to North Wilkesboro, where the Iceman became the Iron Man, as Terry Labonte makes his 513th consecutive start, tying him all-time with Richard Petty for most consecutive starts in NASCAR Winston Cup racing. And Labonte set the record in style by taking the historic green flag from the pole, his 3rd of the season. As is quite typical with North Wilkesboro, long green flag runs rule the day, and for most of the afternoon it's a battle back and forth between Labonte and Rusty Wallace, who swapped the lead numerous times. Then with 32 laps remaining, John Andretti goes hard into the outside retaining wall, then into the water barrels at the end of pit road. Wallace, leading at the time, runs straight into Andretti. The promising day quickly turns sour for the Penske South Racing team. After that, Terry Labonte gets a great stop from the Kellogg's team to beat teammate Jeff Gordon back onto the track, and the Ironman holds him off for the final few circuits, and Terry Labonte completes the day in style, winning in his 513th consecutive NASCAR Winston Cup start.
The difference was a pit stop at the end. They made a great pit stop. We beat the other guys off pit road, and we were able to hold off Jeff. I was glad it was Jeff behind me, because we raced each other clean, and you know, he never got into me or nothing. And if he would have beat me off pit road, he would have won the race.
At Martinsville, Ricky Craven continues to be hot with his first career Busch pole coming in the Goody's 500. Terry Labonte, now breaking Richard Petty's consecutive starts record, appears to be on his way to a 2nd straight win, leading late in the race, only to have his brakes fail, relegated to a 24th place finish after a great run. My, how fortunes can change. After wrecking late in the race the week before, Rusty Wallace brings the exact same car to Martinsville, turns in another great performance, and this time avoids the wrecks, beating Jeff Gordon in the Goody's 500, the 4th time in 5 years he's won the spring Martinsville race.
Well, I wanted to break the record. We did it today. Labonte broke Petty's 514 start. We broke the 400 road record. It was great. Just got the car right at the very end. It was not too girly. We got to fix it finally.
Let's give a call to a few other drivers for the performance at Martinsville. Ernie Irvin finished second. That's his best finish since returning from his accident. And Jeff Gordon finished third. That's 6 straight top 3 finishes. He's now second behind Dale Earnhardt in the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings. And how about Jeremy Mayfield? Had his career best at Atlanta just a few weeks ago, a 5th. This week he does it 1 better with a 4th. Alan, he just gets better and better and shows more maturity each and every week.
Benny, you mentioned Ernie Irvin there. We went on the next week to Talladega for the Winston Select 500. Ernie Irvin won the pole for that race. Not much of a surprise there. What happened after qualifying was. NASCAR decided to put a Ford, Chevy, and Pontiac on a chassis dyno to compare horsepower numbers. Sterling Marlin's Chevy, Bobby Hamilton's Pontiac, and Irvin's Ford were selected. And while Irvin's Ford was being tested, first a problem with the clutch developed, and then the engine began detonating, eventually blew up.
That was our race car that we have to race tomorrow. It was our race engine. Our guys in the engine shop has worked night and day to get 2 good motors down here for these 2 cars.
While also disappointed the way the testing turned out, NASCAR stood by its decision to conduct the tests and in fact did more testing Saturday, this time much better results.
There's always ways we could do things better and differently. Here at NASCAR, our goals and our intentions are to make the sport safer, number 1, and make it better for the fans. Close competition is number 2 on our list, and we attempted to gather some information on Friday that would help us make decisions to make the sport better in the future, and obviously it could have gone a little bit better.
Benny, it was unfortunate what happened on the chassis dyno, and Larry McReynolds was upset, but Gary Nelson has to do what he has to do.
I mean, the competitors want NASCAR to make the playing field as level as they can because they want a chance. If you're driving a Ford, you want a chance to win, or a Chevrolet Pontiac. They all want that equal chance to win. And NASCAR needs, in making the rules, they need to have some information. And what better place to get that information when the cars are in peak performance? They've got those cars ready to run 500 miles at Talladega. That's the perfect time to find out exactly what the teams have.
Well, they started the race, Ernie Irvin, without that same engine, but still a good one under the hood with his teammate, Dale Jarrett, alongside on the front row. While Irvin and Jarrett would lead the field with the green flag, they would not be the big headline makers of this day at Talladega. Instead, the story of the day were some wild, wild Talladega wrecks. Starting on lap 77, Bill Elliott goes airborne and pirouettes coming out of turn 2, the car slamming down hard on the driver's side. Unfortunately, Elliott breaks the femur bone in his left leg, which winds up costing him 2 months of his NASCAR Winston Cup season. That, however, was just the beginning. The biggest wreck of the day happened on lap 129 when Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin touched going into turn 1, setting off a chain reaction that eventually collected 14 cars, including pole sitter Ernie Irvin.
You can blame anybody or everybody or nobody. It was one of those deals where I was going for a hole, everybody was going for a hole, and it got real tight by the wall, and I don't think anybody could have done really much else. It's real unfortunate. I never hate to get into Mark. If anybody, Mark. And I got together and we just started wrecking. But he didn't have any room on the inside of him, so it's just kind of a squeeze play.
We just all ran out of room out there. There's just too many cars in one place. It's an unfortunate thing about having cautions. Places all of them in a wide, and everybody's kind of. There wasn't enough room out there for all those race cars.
From then on, the race becomes a game of who can catch Sterling Marlin. In the final laps, the top 2 in points, Dale Earnhardt and Dale Jarrett battle for second, which enables Marlin to keep the lead and take the checkered flag. Jarrett winds up second and cuts into Earnhardt's point lead, but for Sterling Marlin, it's win number 1 in 1996.
I knew I wasn't going to beat him, My only hope was the lap cars getting away or something, and I thought maybe that was going to happen for a minute. But, one-on-one, you just can't pass anybody here, especially a good race car, and, that's what this situation was.
When I saw him get back there side by side, and I think it was 4 laps to go, I figured that we might pull off and get away from him. But if they ever got lined up, they'd be running 10 mile an hour faster when he got us. But it held off, and, man, we're just glad to be here. I tell you, it feels great.
After Sterling's win, all the talk was still about Ricky Craven and his scary accident. After the wreck, ESPN's Dr. Jerry Punch went to Craven's race shop to see just how he made it through the crash.
We've heard the priorities all too often. For NASCAR, it's safety first, then competition, and then cost containment. And no one is more appreciative of the fact that safety is the top priority than the folks here at Hendrick Motorsports and their driver, Ricky Craven. This is what the Kodiak Chevrolet looked like as it was about to start the Winston Select 500 on Sunday. Now, what we're about to show you is what can happen at over 190 miles an hour in less than 3 seconds. And let me warn you, if you're squeamish, you may want to look away. That's the crumpled hulk of Ricky Craven's engine. What's left of it, I should say. The carburetor having been sheared away, some of the intake crushed, and the engine pushed completely to the left. But look at what's left of his beautiful Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Well, there's not much, of course. The roll cage, though, remained intact. This cage, built by Mike Laughlin, did its job. There were some openings here where it had been ripped open by the catch fence. Once again, the catch fence did its job, catching the race car, but it did rip open some of the bars on the cage. But look most importantly inside. The safety perimeter, the cockpit of the car, remained intact. It maintained its integrity. And the back of the car, a safety feature NASCAR put into effect many years ago. The fuel cell remained intact somehow, and there was no risk of fire. Now let's look at the driver's side. Now take a look at the outside of the left side of the car. The car actually came down on the asphalt, on the pavement itself. There is pavement ground into the B-pillar here, right behind the driver's seat. This is asphalt, folks, from Talladega Superspeedway. Take a look at the window net here. It did its job, although it took quite a beating and was bowed when the car came off the fence and tumbled down onto the racetrack. But most importantly, look inside the race car. You see this seat right here? In the back of the seat it says Butler Built Energy Impact Systems. That's exactly what it did. The seat absorbed the energy, the roll cage kept Ricky Craven safe, and folks, Ricky Craven can walk away. He's very lucky. He's lucky because the sanctioning body has rules, and his race team, Charlie Presley, Larry Hedrick and company, they followed him to the letter.
My wife, she's really concerned. She got upset enough after the accident that she gave me this, and I want to make that clear. This didn't happen in the wreck. My wife did that to me.
Ricky Craven basically okay after the crash, as you just saw, but they had to go racing on the road course a week later at Sears Point. He wasn't quite ready for that. Craven has NASCAR Truck Series competitor Ron Hornaday standing by to take over the car after the first lap at the first of 2 NASCAR Winston Cup road course events, this one in the wine country of California for the Mart 300. Terry Labonte leads the field of the green flag with his 4th Busch pole in just 10 races this season. Mark Martin, with probably the fastest car in the last practice, has early trouble with a loose spark plug wire. He has to make a pit stop on the pace lap and thereby has to start dead last on the field. Pole sitter Labonte, Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, Wally Dallenbach, and Jeff Gordon all switched the lead back and forth throughout the afternoon. Then on a restart with 5 laps to go, Rusty Wallace gets by Jeff Gordon when the defending champ spins his tires. Rusty then takes it all the way home from there for his 2nd win of